Welcome to stop number 1 of the FINA Artistic Swimming Virtual Competition. This is our first stop this year, and we've done it virtually with our partners, United States Artistic Swimming and Canada. As you can see, I brought you to my own backyard playground where there is snow. All our outdoor pools are currently frozen. But first of all, I want to thank you guys, the artistic swimming community, the athletes, the coaches, the judges, the volunteers, the administrators. You have all worked hard with each other to support each other in these very challenging and difficult times in the world. You have grown lasting friendships together. You unify each other. You support each other. And the world could learn much from the sport of artistic swimming and our community. I want you to continue to work together. I hope to see you on the pool deck very soon, somewhere in the world. I wish everybody, judges, coaches, athletes, a great competition. Thank you very much to our partners for hosting, and thank you to FINA for supporting a virtual event. Good luck to everybody.
Hello everyone, it's Virginie de Dieu. I hope you feel good. After 2 years without competition for a lot of athletes, I'm really proud and happy to support the first competition event in 2022, the Virtual World Series hosted in Canada and USA. Use this opportunity as a step toward your final goal. Enjoy, have fun, good luck, and see you.
On behalf of the local organizing committee, I welcome you to the 2022 FINA Artistic Swimming World Series event number 1, co-hosted by Canada Artistic Swimming and USA Artistic Swimming. We are so very pleased to be able to offer this virtual competition at a time when the pandemic continues to challenge our ability to get together in person. Thank you for joining us and wishing all the best to the athletes participating in this first leg of the 2022 FINA World Series. Enjoy the competition.
Wow, what a great video. My name is Bill May, and I'm an artistic swimmer from the United States, and I'm here with my friend, Karine Thomas. Thank you for that great video, FINA. Good luck to all the athletes. Thank you, Lisa, Virginie, Jackie, and all the federations for your support. And welcome to the first stop of our FINA Artistic World Series virtual event hosted by Canada and the USA.
It's truly our honor to be here today and to represent both of our countries here at the very first stop of our FINA World Artistic Swimming.
So last year, we have our first virtual World Artistic Swimming World Series. And it was very exciting because we got to see all these countries. Even though that we couldn't be together on the pool deck, we still had the opportunity to compete. So it's great that even though we're still finding our way through this COVID, we're still having the opportunity to see each other, to compete. And we are even having a World Series Super Final and a World Championship. So this is leading to that exciting event.
So first up today, we are going to be watching some technical solo events. There will be 15 countries competing in all of this whole FINA World Series. And today in solo, we'll start with Finland, and we will have Switzerland, Jamaica, we will have Bulgaria, Japan, Canada, all competing in this event.
So this is a series of events, and this is because it'll start off with our virtual World Series with the USA and Canada hosting, and then we'll go on to an in-person World Series event in France, and then we'll go to a virtual with Australia, and then we'll have a World Series Super Final that will be held in Greece, and then our World Championships will be at the end of June and the beginning of July. So this starts a whole string of events to come up in a very exciting season for artistic swimming and FINA.
Absolutely. Bill, do you want to talk a little bit about how our scoring system is going to be working throughout this event?
So today we're going to start off with our technical routines. And our routines, as you can see, we have the solo technical, the male solo technical, the duet technical, the mixed duet technical, which is a male and female, and the team technical. So with these events, we have 3 panels of judges. We have a panel for execution, which consists of 30%, a panel for artistic impression, which is also 30%, and then a very high 40% for required elements. So in this routine, each one of these teams or solos or duets, they all have to do a required set of elements that each and every athlete must do. And if they miss it, then they're losing that element score as well as an execution score. So within when they're doing these elements, they count a lot for their overall score. So they work a long time trying to perfect these elements amongst all the different choreography within the routine because it's so judged.
So something that would be interesting to know as well is that these routines were actually recorded in a very specific time window to minimize the opportunity for multiple mistakes. So these athletes are basically as if they're competing in person. It's a very sophisticated system that has been developed to emulate the in-person judging and as closely as possible. And judges from all over the world were able to see these routines.
I got to give major respect to these athletes and to the judges because it's very difficult to routine and know that you're filming only for a camera, or even for the judges not to see it in person. They have to look very closely because, again, they're only seeing through the eyes of a camera.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see what all of these athletes have come up with today.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think everyone's getting ready. You know, they're so excited to be out, ready to compete. So everyone is back in full force, and they're going to give us the best that they have.
So first today, from Finland, we have FINA.
So once again, these athletes.
Go ahead.
Once again, we do have the 5 required elements that these athletes must do. So as we watch this, we can say what these elements are going to be, and you can try to pick them out through the rest of the routines.
Beautiful height there on her body boost. That's her first element. Her theme here is the Vikings, music by Paul D. Beats, actually.
There's her second element, and that one's tough because she has to stay, you know, at maximum height, followed by continuous spins.
Mm-hmm. Third. And this one here, we're looking for height, we're looking for flexibility.
And crazy, she's only been swimming for 4 years. So she's got a lot of talent for such a short amount of time.
Yeah, that's impressive when you think about how many years this athlete has been in the pool for and how many more she's got ahead of her.
Exactly.
Great spin.
And that's one thing about artistic swimming is that it takes so many years to develop, you know, the artistry, the skill, the endurance, the speed, the technical side. So for her to only be in 4 years and doing this great, it's incredible.
Natural athlete. Last element. Demonstrated a little bit of flexibility there after her element. I would have loved for her to go all the way onto the water in that split. Great energy at the end.
Great. Amazing.
Scores for execution 21, impression 21.5, elements 28.317, penalties none, and a total of 70.817. You can see here the breakdown for each element. So see in the execution impression, there's only one panel, but for the elements, there are divided within all 5 elements that there are in the routine.
Our next soloist comes from Switzerland. Her name is Emma Grosvenor. Her theme is Blackbird, and the music is by Tash Sultana.
Have you seen a blackbird?
This is Emma's second year swimming this choreography. First element, right out the gate.
And again, with these technical elements, you can directly compare from routine to routine. So she's actually been one of Switzerland's top soloists for years. And her goal is to finally compete at the Olympics in 2024. So best of luck to her.
Mm-hmm. The element was a little bit shaky, but her height is undeniable in that vertical height. She truly demonstrates how powerful she is in those body beats as well.
Great flexibility.
Absolutely.
And that's something, as our sport evolves, it becomes more and more demanding to be more athletic, more flexible, more powerful. So the more athletes that are getting involved to our sport, it just pushes us. We're getting more men involved. And so every aspect of the sport is just evolving to a higher level.
I find it so impressive to see what these young athletes are able to do now. How quick they move, how high they get. She got some pretty good height there at the end.
And that's one of the riskiest elements in this. So that's the vertical thrust, and they must do a 720 spin off the top before they reach their ankles. So execution score of 22.90, impression score 22.60, element score 30.69, with a total routine score of 76.1984. So you can see they do have these 5 elements, and these routines are much shorter than their free programs. For the solo, the technical programs are 2 minutes, so they must get all 5 of those elements within those 2 minutes, whereas a free program is 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Next athlete we're going to see swim now is from Jamaica, Nayuka Bo. Her theme is No Time to Die from James Bond, and it's a song by Billie Eilish.
I gotta say, I wish I was watching this in person, because it would mean I would be in Jamaica.
Oh, don't we all wish that, Bill? Honestly. Wow. Look at that first element. She got some great height, showed her flexibility.
I should have known.
This is really great, and this really shows that our sport is evolving and growing, because Jamaica usually is not represented at these competitions. And I've actually seen her swim, and she's a beautiful and very artistic swimmer. So this is very inspiring.
Nayuka's been swimming for 11 years, believe it or not, Bill. So she's been around for quite some time, just perfecting her craft. And it's really nice to be able to see Jamaica more and more at these World Series events.
But I saw you there. Too much to bear.
And again, one of her goals is to compete at the World Championships. So I hope I will be congratulating her there.
Yeah, best of luck.
Was it obvious to everybody else that I'd fallen for
This is new choreography for her. You can tell she's really trying to express a lot of those emotions that she's feeling in that music.
So in that element, the hardest thing is trying to recover. You're going down, you're doing your spins down, and then trying to recover to get your arms and get maximum height. So that tends to be one of the hardest elements.
And because it's at the end of the routine as well, it's not the very last element, but the second last element, and it's quite difficult to do considering that they have 3/4 of the routines in their body at this point in time.
Beautiful swim by Nyoka.
Yeah. Execution 19, impression 18.1, elements 20.7, for a total of 57.84.
So our next athlete is actually an independent FINA athlete, and her name is Varvara Sobotina. And she's actually one of the youngest athletes, but she's she has a lot of experience. She competed at the World Championships as well as the Junior World Championships. She's very, very flexible, very powerful. Looking for full split there.
It's fun to see her swim to an Elvis themed routine like this. It's a little bit out of the box for her, and I like that.
Yeah, I agree. And that's it. It's always interesting to see people's music interpretation because, actually that's part of the artistic impression score of 30% and how they use the music.
It's one for the money, two for the show, three to get ready. Now go, cat, go, but don't you step on my blue suede shoe. Well, you can do anything but take me over my blue suede shoe.
Great height, great flexibility. You could just see, her splits at 180 degrees.
Absolutely. She's one of those swimmers that just doesn't have much difficulty getting into those 180 splits on the water.
Exactly, very effortless. And here we come back to our spin. We're looking for maximum height, even distribution of spins on the way down and on the way up.
I'm also going to be looking for the speed to be matched on the way down and on the way up. We want both of them to be similar.
So she was pretty vertical on that, but she wasn't even on her spins. So the judges will take off for that. You want to even spin from the very top of your rocket all the way under. And that's, again, what makes it have such a high degree of difficulty of 2.7. Sorry, 2.3. So that was Varvara Sobotina. Technical score of 9.1, or 27.5, impression score of 26.8, element score of 37.28, with an overall score of 91.58.
Next up from Bulgaria, we have Dalia Plamenova Benkova. The music that she'll be swimming to is I Think of You, Love. Dalia has been competing for 12 years now, and most of these 12 years she has done them with her coach Galina Georgieva. They must have quite the partnership together.
And that's amazing. It's, like all these things combined to make a good athlete and a good relationship to the sport. They have to have a good communication with their coach. They have to feel that music. They have to enjoy their music. And that's why sometimes they pick the music that they do, because they can interpret it very well.
Absolutely. We're going to be heading into our third element here.
As people at home are watching these, you can really see that vertical line. And if that leg kind of sways back or forth, that is what the judges are looking for to deduct those small, minuscule points. Because sometimes these athletes are so close on the score, it's a very minute details that will put one person ahead of the other athlete.
Daya's going to be competing this routine for the first time this year, but it's not her first time representing Bulgaria. She's been representing Bulgaria since the 2019 European Junior Championships. Last element. That was a quite successful routine, I would say. So marks for execution, 22.1, impression, 21.3, and elements, 28.68 for a total of 72.086.
Our next athlete comes from Japan, and her name is Ura Kobayashi. So Japan is known for being very technical, very strong, very fast twitched. And the theme of her routine is a bat. So we can see, already by their reputation that she's going to be flying down the pool. This routine is coached and choreographed by Yumi Uchiyama. Her first element, and it's followed by very intricate footwork. And this is difficult when you're trying to coordinate, body movements above the water with trying to stay high. And she has very specific artistic impression in her feet.
I like to think of artistic impression as using your entire body for that artistic impression, from the tip toes to all the way to your fingers. So she's doing a really good job at that.
Agree. So she's had this routine since 2020, and a lot of times it takes that long for these athletes to really feel comfortable with their routines.
Especially when you think of the last 2 years and how not many people have gotten the chance to compete a whole lot. So you would assume that it's actually nice to hopefully get the chance to complete this routine in person one day. Having a little bit more difficulty going back up on her spins there. We all saw that the speed at which she went back up was a little bit slower than on the way down.
More foot artistic impression. And again, these are all going for that 30% score combined with this element that you're seeing here. So again, she reached a maximum height but she was a little bit inconsistent on the level of her spins, which the judges will mark down. But still a great, really entertaining routine, very athletic. And it's great. So Uda, she loves a boy band Be First, and that's a great thing for these athletes because outside influences help them perform better in the water. So her execution score is 24.30, artistic impression score of 24.40, element score of 30.45 with an overall score of 79.15.
Next up from Canada, we have Audrey Lamotte. Her music is Crimea River by Michael Bublé. She's coached by Gabor Sauter, Kasia Kalisha, and Karine Doré, and choreographed by Karine Doré. Is very young. She's a brand new addition to the national team. She's only 17 years old, but she's been swimming for 12 years.
Wow, and she's going right for the power, right off the bat.
Yeah. Amazing height there in that single leg.
Cry me a river, I cried a river over you.
Interesting that she chose to do her first element so far in the routine. It just shows how powerful this athlete really is.
You say you love me, but you lie.
Yeah, I agree. And it's these people, these athletes, they do have a strategy on where to put all these elements. And you can see she chose to do 2 consecutive thrusts in the beginning before her first element, and then the second element is combined by a high body boost. So she's trying to show her power. And then they set these elements specifically in front of the judges so they can really get a good viewing to score them respectively.
And these are all things that coaches will be trying to think of as much as possible when they're building the routine.
One thing to say with the separation of the elements, sometimes it can be difficult. So if an athlete puts an element too close together and the judges miss it, they must give that element a 0 or basically not judge it. So it basically takes them out of judging that element. So they don't get a 0 overall, but they can't element. They can't judge that element because they didn't see it.
Mm-hmm. Wow, what a performance.
Yeah, very powerful.
Her first time representing Canada in a solo event, I would say Audrey did a wonderful job. Execution mark are 25.8, impression 25.4. For the elements, she got 30.8037 for a total of 82.0037.
We have another athlete coming from Japan, Yuka Kawasai. And her theme is actually a powerful woman. And this music is from the Japanese manga series, The Promised Neverland. So even amongst the same country, it's interesting to see the different types of theme that these athletes have. Very powerful beginning. You know, and again, they don't have, because this is virtual, their cameras in one place. So they don't have an audience with them, and they may not have the perfect viewing of everything that you would normally have, or the judges that they would normally have at an in-person competition.
That's right, Bill, because normally when we choreograph a routine, we have to think about the fact that the judges panel is going to be on both sides of the routine, of the pool, and they need to see the routine from all angles. right now, because there's only the one angle, it is quite different.
And especially if they get a lot of their inspiration from performing for the audience. But she's actually doing a really great job.
Great use of the music here.
It's funny, so she saw artistic swimming on TV when she was 2 years old, but this is her first time swimming a solo at an international event. So she's loved it from an early age, and she's just been developing her skill, and you can see that it's become very beautiful and very athletic.
Really a beautiful artistic swimmer. I love this. Beautiful to watch. That last thrust, we would want to see a vertical line on the way up as well. So not just that top vertical line counts, it's how you get there as well that goes into the scoring.
Great job, Yuga. So for Yuga, we have an execution score of 25.60, an impression score of 27.70, element score of 32.15, with a total routine score of 82.45.
Next up from Japan, we have Itsuki Iruta. Her theme is Mother Monster. The lyrics from the Lady Gaga song, and the music is from Adriel's Into the Shadows. Oh, I like the singing, that's quite interesting.
Yeah. Very high thrust out of the water.
The first element.
A birth of magnificent and magical proportions took place. But the birth was not finite.
She's right now trying to express chaotic space and what that means to her. The second element. A little bit off her line, but great speed and great height at the beginning.
And thus began the beginning of the new race, a race within the race of humanity, a race which bears no prejudice, no judgment, but boundless freedom.
Very flexible. And again, that's what the judges are looking for. That full 180-degree split, more foot expression.
Tighten the vertical here, speed of the spin, evenness of the height and the speed, going up and down. So Tsuki really chose this music because of the difficulty in expressing the theme, and she wanted to pursue expressing this theme and really trying to push herself. And I appreciate that a lot. I think she did a great job. So her second time representing Japan as a soloist. This is a brand new choreography for her and brand new music.
Wow, that routine was packed.
That never stopped moving. That was quite impressive.
Yeah.
So her
And again,
execution
that's
score.
with all the.
Sorry, Bill. Execution score is 26.200. Impression 24.400. Elements 31.9916 for a total of 82.5916.
That concludes our female solo technical routine. Please stand by for our awards and our full results. Next up, we have our male solo technical event. So Corinne, this is actually a brand new event on the world scene. And I'm really happy to say that it just became an event at the European Championships and amongst all competitions hosted by LEN, which is the European Federation. So it's a really big jump for our sport of artistic swimming.
Very exciting news indeed. Number 1, from Spain, we have Fernando Diaz de Rio Soto. His music is the Mount Everest by Ana Vega. Well, for new choreography and his first time competing in the senior age category, Fernando did an amazing job. Execution 24.0, impression 22.50, elements 29.9571 for a total of 76.4571.
Really amazing. It's so great to see so many men competing.
it really is a different style of swimming too, like you said. Hey, Bill?
I agree. And it's different. Not something that we should compare, but to appreciate. So this next athlete is a multiple world champion and will prove to be a very incredible soloist as we watch. Very technical, very strong, and again, very flexible. You can see fast footwork, complete stop, showing that he has complete control of the muscles used to improve his technique and skill in the water.
Truly setting the standard for what artistic swimming is.
So his music is Chopin, different than what we saw our Spanish friends swim to. But again, just as beautiful. A little shaky on his twist, but look at that beautiful, perfect straight line.
He's coached by and choreographed by Gana Maximova, another legend in our sport who's been around for a long time and has inspired quite a few swimmers.
Including me, and her mom has been in the sport. So we have such multiple generations of talent from that family. This person's someone that the world is always excited to see swim.
I'd say he probably attracts some of the bigger crowds that I've ever seen.
Definitely.
We're always looking to see what they're going to come up with next. Wow, that was a really well executed spin.
Really great height, really great continuous spin, slightly off at the ankle, but it's minimal compared to how beautiful the top of that height was and the spin after. Great job by Alexander Maltsev. Execution score of 27.10, impression score of 26.80, element score of 36. Element score of 36.52 with an overall routine score of 90.42. Really great score for Alexander.
And next up from Puerto Rico, we have Javier Enrique Ria Sanchez Torres Zayas. His theme is Black Swan, the Song of Swans by Tchaikovsky. You can see straight off the gate, he's starting us off with the theme. Already we know what he's going to be doing.
So Javi's relatively new to this sport, but you can see he's very passionate with his music, and he really wants to improve his technical part of his swimming. So that's why he's trying to involve himself in all the different routines. And we're sure to see him later.
Yes, of course, we will be seeing him later. He actually started off as a competitive speed swimmer, and after a full year of his coach trying to convince him to join the sport, he finally decided to give it a shot. He's been working really hard on trying to improve his flexibility and extension.
So Javi's coach, her name is Julia, and they've actually known each other since elementary school. So they've developed a really great rapport. But Julia actually went to school in the United States, on the mainland.
You can see here in his arm movements, he is trying to really stay true to the black swan theme. You can see that he's drawing from his background in ballet, which is a huge asset for him in artistic swimming. A little bit more height on that last breast position. It's definitely one of the hardest elements out there.
And it has the most risk.
Yes, because you're going for the maximum height and so many spins afterwards. So for Javier, his execution is 17.300. Impression score of 18.400, elements 18.5147, and a total of 537147.
Karina, I got to say, again, it's really great to see these men involved. I wish we could be together watching this competition in person together. Unfortunately, we're far away. We don't get to see each other. So I feel like I'm constantly talking over you, but I think you're amazing, and I'm honored to be doing this commentating with you.
The feeling is very mutual. I agree. One day we will be doing this in person, I promise. But for now, we'll have to stay in our little areas of the world.
But we do get to travel around the world to watch all these people compete. So thank you for our virtual competitions.
Absolutely. Incredibly lucky to be able to do this.
Hi world. So I actually started artistic swimming when I was coaching a swim practice, and a coach came up to me and asked me if I wanted to join the sport. I thought she was absolutely crazy out of her mind, because who can hold their breath for that long? But then 6 months later, I fell in love with the sport and competed at my first competition. And now competing solos and duets is an absolute honor to represent my country. But the best part of this entire journey is just seeing how little kids around the island join the sport and start loving what we do in the water just as much as we do. Bye.
Thank you, Javi. It's always great to hear their background of how they get involved in the sport, especially these days with the men getting involved in the sport. And that's what we want to do. And that's how we want our community to grow. So I think we can learn from how these different countries get involved.
It's exposure. The more we see it, the more hopefully it'll inspire people to join. So next up today, we are going to be watching some technical duet routines.
And again, there are 3 panels of judges: execution, artistic impression, and the highest degree of difficulty with the 40% of our element score.
Starting us off, we have from Denmark, Mia Hyde and Carolyn Christensen. They're going to be swimming to Jailhouse Rock by Elvis Presley.
That's a great way to start this competition. So for this routine, there's 5, again, required elements with 1 lift or throw. But everything else in this routine must lead in exactly the same direction, exactly the same time. There's our first element, showing vertical height with continuous spin and showing that control on the way down.
Unbelievably, Mia and Carolyn don't actually have a coach with them in person at all times. They're their own coaches, essentially. They send videos to their coach Leilani, and she sends feedback back from Chile. So kudos to them for really taking advantage of all the opportunities that we have now with the digital world.
Exactly. We wouldn't be watching them had we not. There's our third element. It's a fishtail position, so a 90-degree position followed by 2 spins, a join, and then 2 spins down. So Leilani lives in Chile, but she's actually Puerto Rican, and she went to school in Ohio. So she's got a lot of experience from all over the world, and I think it really shows the choreography and the creativity within this routine.
Not only are we looking for height and execution in the element, but we're also looking for synchronization between the two athletes. The girls chose this music because they wanted to swim to something fun, and definitely I'm dancing around on my chair, so I would agree that it's a good choice for them.
Exactly. You know, and it's nice. You see a lot of routines, so to have that routine that's really upbeat, it really gets the audience involved.
Their goal this year in duet will be to compete in the European Championships together. We wish them the very best of luck. For execution score, 21.100. Impression, 21.300. Elements, 27.5704 for a total of 69.9704.
Our next duet involves the soloists that we previously saw, Varvara Sabatina and Svetlana, and I'm so sorry, I'm going to butcher this name, but Kolesnichenko. So again, these are Olympians, so we're bound to see a really impressive high energy routine. The speed at which these athletes move is incredible.
The height that they sustain in those double-leg verticals.
Again, our first element, perfectly matched. Incredible height and beautiful spins on the way down. There's our one required element of a lift. And again, you see these athletes swimming completely the same direction. Otherwise, they will get a penalty, and that will cost them in their overall score. Look how close they're swimming.
That's part of the risk factor as well, because they run the risk of quite literally knocking themselves with their legs. The fact that they're swimming so close to it and not hitting each other is quite impressive.
Exactly, and they're moving so fast. If you get kicked by one of those legs, it's going to hurt.
Oh yes. With all the little details that they fine tune, you can really tell everything has been thought of in this routine.
Hours and hours of practice. Artistic swimmers tend to spend up to 12 hours a day in the pool because it takes so long to really make everything precise, to really perfect every tiny little movement. If you can, try to count, for all those watching, all the moves that these athletes are doing. They'll have thousands of moves within each routine. Great job for our independent FINA athletes. Vovara, Sobotina, and Svetlana with an execution score of 28.10, impression score of 28.0, element score of 37.03, with a total routine score of 93.13. Thank you, ladies.
Next up, we have Yana Tratsukanya and Ksenia Tratsukanya as well, independent FINA athletes. Their theme is night and day.
So these girls, they're not twins, but they are sisters, and they're swimming together for only 1 year.
Really want to be looking at execution and the synchronization between the athletes. Saw here that one of the athletes sort of fell in her spin, and that the synchronization suffered from that as well. Their goal as sisters would be to swim together at the Olympics. How special would that be to be able to share that with your sister?
Exactly. And you can see how close they're swimming together, but this particular element, you have to be a specific length away from each other, but then you have to quickly move back together to get that close relationship.
I don't know if you caught that, Bill, but I saw them use a different arm on the exit of that figure there. I wonder if the judges will have caught that as well and given them the penalty. We know that in a technical program you need to be moving exactly the same the entire time we synchronize.
Exactly. And no mirrored actions are permitted. So we'll see if they do get penalized for that.
A lot of intricate angles on this hybrid here. Execution score of 23.100, impression of 22.900, elements 30.3615, for a total of 76.3615.
Our next duet comes from the Netherlands. This is Marloes Steenbeek and Maria Lorenzini. So their music is actually a theme of thunder, and they chose that because they wanted it to encourage growth. Like many athletes, these girls would love to compete at the Olympics together.
Really good synchronization here, and it's all in one footing too.
So this duet's actually been training with the Dutch Federation since 2017, but it's only their second swimming together. So again, they're doing a great job, but they're only going to get better and better the more that they learn to swim. The rapport becomes better. Everything with more experience and more time together will only improve their scores.
A little off the line there for one of the swimmers and the spin. I feel like they're just increasing in speed as they're ending their routine now.
Yeah, I agree. And they're supposed to have a really long, intricate hybrid. So best of luck to them. I hope they can keep up their energy. They're doing a great job. And that's what's really going to give them a high score from the judges.
The never-ending figure, wow.
Exactly. That's a lot of time underwater. All right, thank you, Netherlands. Their execution score is 24.30, impression score of 23.60, element score of 30.82, with a total routine score of 78.72. So again, the judges are looking for the difficulty in the routine, and that does include how long they're underwater. And a lot of times, 2/3 of the routine can be underwater. And if these routines are 2 minutes and 30 seconds almost, 2 minutes and 20 seconds, give or take 15 seconds, that's a lot of time underwater.
And moving at incredible speeds too. Next up from Germany, we have Michelle Zimmer and Marlene Bourget. Their theme is the Amazonian woman.
Wow.
They're the first ones we've seen go head first in that element.
That's interesting to see the power that these lifts can get. And to do it head first, she's got a lot of strength.
They're off to a really good start here. A little bit off timing. The faster the movements and the more intricate the movement, the harder it is to synchronize. So they are taking risks by doing smaller, faster movements.
Exactly, and I think that's a really great point, is that these routines are getting very risky because they can't see very well underwater. They don't always see each other, so they're depending on hearing the music underwater. But with these fast, intricate movements, sometimes it can be very difficult to keep up, especially when you're fatigued and running out of steam. That's where that athleticism and endurance plays a big role.
They chose this music because they wanted to embody the characteristics of the Amazonian women who are the warriors and rival the men in strength. We have trained together since November of 2020. So also a very young pairing.
It's interesting because after the Olympics, you don't know which athlete will retire or continue swimming. So we're basically in a new quad preparing for the next Olympics. So we're building amongst all of these countries.
It's also interesting because the Olympics were a year later. We have less time to prepare for the next Olympics in a sense.
exactly.
It's a beautiful performance by Germany. Execution score of 25.30, impression 24.10, elements 32.0454, for a total of 81.4454.
Our next duet comes from Japan. We have Ura Kobayashi and Ari Kawaguchi, and their theme is a belly dance. This is coached and choreographed by Yayumi Uchiyama and Ayu Watanabe. What a great, beautiful high lift.
So just to go right into that element. Really great synchronization at the beginning of the spin, just the height is a little bit different. Talk about sharpness.
Although
There
we're
is
not
no
in person,
doubt
this
they live
really
their
is
life. Sorry, Bill, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, it's a great opportunity for these athletes, even though it's not in person, they're still getting that experience of competing, even whether it's virtual, but, you know, they're going for that final, super final of the World Series hosted by FINA and the FINA World Championships.
It is a great experience, and you get to fine tune a little bit more your routine every time you compete. What I love the most about this routine is how precise these athletes are in their movements.
Wow, really great job for our duet from Japan. It was actually their first time swimming together, but they did an amazing job. Execution score of 24.40, artistic impression score of 23.80, element score of 32.09 with an overall routine score of 80.29.
Next up, we have Anastasia Novosiolova and Kensinia Kulyashova. Really great power here in Suda. This great. We're really going into a lot of energy in this routine. Really great timing on the end of that spin.
So this is also their first time swimming a duet together. I think everyone at home can see that these athletes really enjoy fast music, and they're interpreting the music incredibly.
A little bit out there land there at the end of the spin, but quite successful element overall. This is this duet's first season doing the duet together. And they chose this very fast music just because they actually like the fast pace. And for execution, we have 22.80, impression 23.70, elements 31.4025 for a total of 77.9025.
Our next duet is coming from Australia, Pam Kurosawa and Zoe Puli, and their theme is an upbeat battle, choreographed by Adriani Vasilakis.
Another head first. So Pam and Zoe have actually started training together in 2020, but they've yet to compete in person internationally due to the pandemic. I'm sure they're looking forward to their first competition in person, whenever that may be.
And Australia actually will be hosting a virtual World Series event in May. So that's a great opportunity for them and the rest of the world. Wow, what a fast ending. So they started training in 2020, but Zoe actually competed many times virtually over the height of the pandemic. So it's great to see them continuing to compete. So for their technical score of 19.80, artistic impression score of 21.7, element score of 26.67, with an overall routine score of 68.17.
Next up, from Bulgaria, we have Nia Kirillova Atananosova and Dalia Plamenova Bengova. And their music is No Twerk by Apache. Their coach and choreographed by Galina Georgieva.
This duet has a busy schedule. They're both studying architecture and dentistry. So outside of all that time in the water, they're still going to school.
That is quite impressive. Not an easy feat. I haven't done it myself. Both of these athletes are only 20 years old. They have many years still ahead of them in this sport if they choose to do so. I hope to keep competing in large-scale events. And this is only their second international performance together. The use of the music adds to this childlike element.
Great job, Bulgaria.
Execution score 21.30, impression 21.20, elements 28.9442, for a total score of 71.4442.
Our next duet also comes from Australia. We have Melania Waldman and Georgia Courage Gardner, and their theme is sharks. So as you can see, with these virtual competitions, we're at different pools all over the world, so they have a lot of obstacles that are different than competing in person with a high level of FINA event where everything is specifically placed just for that event.
Right. From the FINA events, the pools usually have a certain standard that we all have to adhere to, but not everybody has the opportunity to train in a pool like that on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly. And sometimes you actually have to deal with the weather. When I filmed one of our virtual World Series, we had to refilm because there was a storm outside, and that was the only pool that we had. So nothing is controlled when you're filming virtually. So you're just, hoping for the best.
That is interesting, actually, because that's what would happen in person as well. If we had a competition in person, they would have to either wait the storm out or completely reschedule to later that day, or hopefully the next day if they can squeeze that event in.
Exactly.
These two athletes are very young. They're 18 and 19 years old. And their coach is only 22.
Interesting footwork for their last hybrid.
So last element. Great synchronization there.
Great job. We can see these duets are really packing in at the end to really get those judges to give them those high scores. So overall execution score for Australia, 20.30, artistic compression score of 21.00, element score of 27.44, with an overall routine score of 68.1775.
And next up from France, we have Anastasia Bayandinas, and Daria Bayandina. Their alternate is Eve Planex. Their theme is nature.
Some call me nature. Others call me Mother Nature.
Beautiful lift to start that routine. Amazing show of flexibility.
Absolutely wonderful choreography. Great synchronization in this element. This is very strong pair. So far they have very complex hybrids with lots of different angles. They've managed to keep their synchronization throughout all of that.
This is an interesting theme because this symbolizes the passing off of Olympic cities from Tokyo to Paris, where our next Olympics will be.
These athletes actually are twins, in case you guys haven't noticed. I know it may be a little bit hard to tell from the video. But they swam for the Russian national team and moved to France 3 years ago and now contribute to the French team. That was an impressive routine. Wonderful job for these wonderful athletes. Execution 26.40, impression 26.80, elements 35.1151 for a total of 88.3151. And that concludes the technical duet.
Hey guys, we are the Spanish mixed duet. He's Emma, my duet partner, and I am Pau.
Well, we really don't prepare any specific type of music. We always try to explain some story in our choreographies and be different to the other mixed duets and do something different to all we have swim replay.
See you guys.
Thank you, Pau and Emma, for that great interview. Next up, we have the technical mixed duet. So unlike the female duets, you'll see 5 brand new elements. So again, they are required, but they're completely different. And as you watch this, they also have to have one lift or throw, but they can meet each other within this routine.
So first up from Spain, we have Judith Calvo Renquena and Fernando Diaz del Rio Soto.
So you can see they're actually allowed to start in the water. But everything from the moment they walk on deck until the music starts, it is all judged.
That height that they got in that first lift was so impressive. Her whole body was out of the water. It's their cat's routine, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, it's the second year that they've swum this routine. Incredible height.
So that's their third element, and that is the one where they are judging the height. It's a barracuda or vertical thrust followed by a half turn. And this is their fourth element that shows flexibility and control. It is the aurora element. And again, unlike the female athletes, they are allowed to do mirrored elements or pair connections. And a pair connection is required, and it must have at least one pair connection.
Which will be utilizing that chemistry between the male and the female in the water. Another element here for them. A little bit off the sync.
A little unsynchronized, but a very strong finish to an incredible routine.
I agree. Execution mark 23.0, impression 24.0, elements 31.1131 for a total of 78.1131.
So our next duet is our independent FINA athletes, and this duet has actually been together for 5 years. They are world champions. So this is a really great and interesting. And again, you're going to see that it is totally different than a female-female duet, but not to be compared because they are completely separate. And as you can see, Alexander did the solo, and he's also doing the mixed duet. So that adds to more training time in the pool. And he's also going to school full time.
These athletes have a lot on their plate. There's no doubt about that.
How can you see into my eyes like open doors? Leading you
Interesting pair connection there.
to my core, where I become so numb.
First
Another
element.
beautiful choreography by Dana.
My spirit's sleeping somewhere cold until you find me there and leave it back home. Wake me up inside. Wake me up inside. Call my name and say
Ballet element here.
bid my blood to run before I come undone. Save me from the nothing I've become.
Beautiful height on that element. Once again, another mirrored or pair element. The power that they exude throughout the entire routine is so impressive. That takes a lot of strength to end with that high intensity, show flexibility, and then stay at that height for so long, even when their arms are burning. Very, very impressive from Maya and Alexander. Great job, ladies and gentlemen. Execution score of 27.50, impression score of 27.80, element score of 35.26, with a total routine score of 90.56.
Next up from Spain, we have Emma Garcia and Pau Ribes. Their theme is Witch Hunters. The music is from Hansel and Gretel. Again, another duet that chose to start in the water.
And this duet is definitely no stranger to international competitions. They've been to the World Championships multiple times. And Paul was at the inaugural mixed duet competition in 2015. And a really great friend and a really awesome competitor.
Intricate footwork again. More into it, the harder it is to recognize. This music is supposed to celebrate the Night of the Witches. They're passionate about the subject and the holiday and decided to spin to this brand new choreography. Bill, do you have any insider information about Pau and how he is and who he is as a competitor? I know you know him quite well.
Pau, yeah, you know, like he is really very, very engaged in the sport. He's coaching, he's working, you know, so he's really pushing for more men in the sport. So he's a big supporter of helping the sport grow in his country as well as the world and among FINA and every other federation throughout the world.
Look at the fight they have in this element. They're sustaining the whole leg out of the water the entire time. Nicely done. Great swim by the mixed duet from Spain. Execution is 25.30, impression 24.80, elements 32.6569. For a total
Great job, Pau and Emma.
82.7569.
You know, they're constantly getting better and better and better. And, you know I'm going to see Pau in the Olympics someday because they will have the mixed duet there. So, you know, I'll be cheering him on.
That's what we're pushing for in the sport, and I really hope to see that happen in our lifetime.
Our final mixed duet comes from Puerto Rico. We have Adriana and Javi.
The theme is belly dance.
So again, this duet's fairly new, and even Javi's pretty new to the sport. But, you know, I know he's working really hard to improve his skills fast. And that's why he was in the solo, and they train many hours to be able to do these double arms, so these intricate legs and arm movements. So good for this duet.
Well, they live, believe it or not, 3 hours apart from each other. They only get to practice together on weekends. Nearly, not as much as all the other competitors, I'm sure.
And one little fun fact, so this is actually Puerto Rico's first mixed duet, but I guarantee it won't be their last. These two are inspiring many, many men to get involved in the sport and obviously create a mixed duet, men's solos, and every other event.
Really hope for them to keep breaking barriers for Puerto Rico artistic swimming.
So we will see later, but last year was the first time that men can compete in solo, combo, and highlight routine at these World Series events. So, you know, these are getting more and more exciting for men in the sport and the sport in general as a whole. Good synchronization on that element. You know, this music's fast. It's not easy to choreograph to, especially if you're not athletes. But they're doing a really great job.
I agree. Beautiful job, Puerto.
And again, that duet was choreographed by Julia Toro, the same as Javi Solo. So execution score of 18.80, impression score of 19.20, element score of 26.13, with an overall score of 64.1346. That concludes our mixed duet technical category. Please stay tuned for awards and our full results.
All I can say is a lot of positive stuff about this team. We came together, we have a lot of new athletes, but everyone is just so skilled, so motivated, determined, and really whatever we set our minds to, we can achieve. So it's been really great.
That's a really great point. When someone does return after going to the Olympics, they do offer a lot of experience to maybe up and coming athletes or newer athletes. So it's really great to have someone be able to tell them all about their experiences and the glue that can combine the two teams together. So great job for her and great job for that team.
Absolutely. And first, we have the independent FINA athletes here. We have them swimming to a theme of conga. We're going to be preparing for our first highlight. Very successful.
So once again, like the other technical routines, they do have 5 required elements that are different from the other routines, but even more difficult because they're synchronizing 8 members or 8 athletes on their team. There's our first element, and these routines are 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
A lot of energy in that music and in their lights here. All these athletes that you're seeing here today actually have the opportunity to participate at the World Series in 2021. Great synchronization on that spin. This team has been together since 2019 and we continue to grow like bond.
So that was something that was required in the routine. They have to do a throw or a lift of 2 people. So there's one with 2 people. Next element is a showcase of flexibility.
Another element.
Yeah, that one, they have to show a circle, a line, and a cadence action. So one panel of judges are only judging the required elements, while other panels of judges are judging the artistic question and their difficulty or execution.
What a great way to start off this event. Beautiful swim by our independent FINA athletes. Their execution score is 24.80, impression 24.40, elements 32.7504, for a total of 81.9504.
Our next team comes from France, coached by Julie Fab, Laura Aubry, and Stéphane Mirmont. For this routine, they really tried to showcase their acrobatic lift right into a really, really fast hybrid or leg movement, along with many multiple angles, which again is going to add to that difficulty score. And most of these athletes are returning athletes from the Olympic Games from Tokyo.
Hopefully we'll be seeing more of this team in preparation for 2024.
Technologic.
Buy it, use it, break it, fix it, trash it, change it, mail, upgrade it, charge it, point it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, plug it, play it, burn it, rip it, drag and drop
We
it.
go for that first highlight.
Wow! Look at the height on that lift.
One more time.
Their second
And
lift.
right away they're going for a double lift.
One more
Technologic. Technologic.
And they chose this music because and they wanted something positive after all the stress and, different obstacles that have faced our world during the pandemic. And I think, it makes you want to dance. It makes you get up and move. So it's a really positive thing for our sport to look at these types of routines and have that hope that these athletes offer us.
Great synchronization so far. This team has done a wonderful job. And we go for the spin element.
And again, the more people that you add, the greater the difficulty is in synchronization. And that's what they have to have throughout the routine, except for one point where they do a cadence action. There's our cadence action.
makes us stronger than ever. Hour after hour, work it ever over. Work it harder, make it ever. Move it faster, makes us stronger.
Here's our fourth element, the manta ray. Control, flexibility.
Technologic.
Our last element,
Technologic.
That one has a
power, flexibility. Great job for our team from France. Execution score of 26.40, impression score of 26.80, element score of 34.51, with a total routine score of 87.7137. Our third team comes from Canada, and their theme is hip hop and rap. And they're coached by Gabor Joder and Kasia Kuleza. Sorry, Kasia. And they're choreographed by Anastasia Ermakova.
Let's do it.
Their coaches and choreographers are very well known in the artistic swimming world. So this team will prove to be very strong competitors and incredible athletes. Amazing lift to start off that routine. So this team's chosen to do some old school funk, but the way that they're moving and their creative leg movements are reflecting a style of music that never goes out of style, and they are showing some updated versions of this really awesome music. I think this is the routine that I would be dancing to every single day of practice.
And you don't know me yet.
Wow,
A little off on that rocket. You know, very powerful element for them. Very high out of the water.
Wow.
So this is a newly formed team, but they're using choreography from the Tokyo Olympics, and I think they did a really great job. execution score of 25.30, impression score of 25.40, element score of 32.55, with a total routine score of 83.2592. Our fourth and final team tool from Canada. So one of these athletes actually trained in the US and went back to swim on the team, Raphael Plant, and her father's actually a musician. So I'm sure that plays a huge role in music choice and interpretation. And her experience goes from one country to another. So it really helps the cohesion of this team learn and grow through different styles. You can see they're also using hip hop and rap.
And you don't know me yet.
So again, this is a new routine, and they're using choreography from the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, and they're doing a great job. You know, the more experience they can get, the better they get, the stronger they'll get, and you'll see this team improve, and get stronger and stronger. It's a very difficult hybrid to end the routine with. Fast movements, a long time underwater. Great job, ladies. Execution score of 25.20, impression score of 23.80, element score of 30.42, overall score of 77.4248. That concludes our first day of the FINA Virtual World Series event hosted by USA and Canada. Thank you to all of our athletes, judges, officials, spectators, and supporters for joining us, and I hope to see you soon back on our next day of our USA-Canada FINA Virtual World Series. And of course, in person, live at our next competition.